The Beast of Gevaudan were man-eating animals that terrorized the former province of Gevaudan in south-central France between 1864 and 1867. They were said to be a tawny or russet color with dark streaks and a black stripe down their tail, which was longer than a wolf's tail, that ended in a tuft of fur. Which is an odd description.
I'm processing that in my head right now.
Yes, but the attacks covered an area spanning roughly 50 square miles. The first recorded sighting of the beast was in summer of 1764. A young woman who was tending cattle in the Mercois forest, again, my pronunciation, I apologize, near the town of Lannion, saw a beast that was, quote, like a wolf, yet not a wolf. It came at her, but the bulls in the herd that she was managed to keep it at bay and drove it off after it tried to attack a second time.
How many reports were there in total?
A lot.
A lot.
A
really?
lot. Yeah.
Oh,
we'll get into it. It even got the attention of Louis XV.
Really?
Yes. There were a lot. That was just the very first sighting.
Okay, this is sad because I'm French and I know nothing about this, but granted, my people were from further south than that.
Yeah, this was like, I looked up where this was. It was just a little bit south of central France.
Okay, yeah, that's a little bit north of where my people were from.
Yeah, yours were from like really south.
Marseille.
South France. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so shortly after that, on June 30th, the beast's first victim was recorded. A 14-year-old girl named Jeanne Boulet was killed, and her burial certificate specifies that she was killed by, quote, the ferocious beast, which suggests that she wasn't truly the first victim, just the first victim recorded and being attributed to the beast.
Okay, and this burial certificate, was it... I'm guessing, it's so bad I don't know my French history in this part. I'm guessing this was similar to what you'd see with a death certificate in modern America.
Most likely. There weren't a lot of details about it. It just said that her burial certificate said that she was killed by the ferocious beast.
So that means there's been more than one account.
That's what I said. Yeah, but the way they wrote the ferocious beast, it indicates that they knew what that meant. That
so
it wasn't,
had a term of parlance there in the area.
Yeah, that it wasn't just, a random animal attack. It was the ferocious beast.
Interesting.
Yeah, like I said, so that suggests she wasn't really the first victim, just the first record we have of it being attributed to the beast.
Well, a lot of those records are lost to time now, especially from that era.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's, like we said, that's just the first recorded one that we have. So a second victim was recorded on August 8th, also a 14-year-old girl. The beast seemed to like preying on people who were isolated, walking around by themselves.
I mean, that's typical predatory behavior right
there.
Yeah,
that's to be expected. So the attacks continued through the summer until terror had absolutely gripped the region. The beast, again, was reportedly preying on lone men and women and children as they tended their livestock. But interesting details, reports say that the beast, when it attacked, seemed to target only the victim's head or neck.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yes.
And wow. So there has to be multiple reports of that.
Yeah, so there were multiple reports of that for that to be a common theme. And that could either just be that this is... I'm not sure if that's just, predatory instinct, that it predators know that the head or the neck is a good place to attack, or if it had attacked so many humans by that point that it learned that those were weak points.
Yeah, it goes to that basic question, is it instinctive or adaptive?
Yeah.
At that point. Wow. That is very interesting. So was it mainly just with people who were tending animals, or were people alone when it happened?
It seemed to be mostly people who were alone. I think they just tended to be alone a lot when they were out tending livestock. That was just part of life, is you go out tending livestock and you're by yourself.
I mean, just on basic biology right there, that's predatory behavior 101 right there. Never attack in groups.
Yeah. So, but like I said, terror had gripped the region by this point. So in addition to noting that the beast would only target the victim's head or neck, witnesses also claimed that the beast could walk on its hind legs, and that it even had supernatural powers, like that it could repel bullets and come back from the dead after being wounded.
Oh, there we go. There's the birth of the modern werewolf. I mean, really, if you think of it, that's
why I lump this in with werewolves, because that's falling into classic werewolf lore.
Is there anything in the French lore about silver or anything remotely like that?
Not specifically that I found, but there is a story about the guy who finally killed it and bullets that he had. It was just a story written by a French author, but we'll get to that when.
Oh, there's a guy who actually killed it.
Yes, when we get to the guy who finally killed it.
So he's bugs only for the werewolf instead of the Bigfoot.
Yes, he's bugs. He's the werewolf's version of bugs.
And if anybody doesn't know that reference, if I'm on this podcast, you're going to hear a lot of Art Bell Coast to Coast AM references because.
Yes.
I think I'm like a modern historian of that now. At least you tell me I am.
You are the Art Bell historian.
Oh my God, that sounds awful.
No, it's not. That's a good thing.
But anyway, there was this guy that in the mid-'90s that called into the art show and said he had killed a Bigfoot, a pair of Bigfoot.
2 Bigfoots. Yeah.
And the hilarious part was it was in a place we used to live in West Texas, very similar. It was probably about 30 miles away from it.
Yeah, I think the place where he said was more up into the Panhandle than where we were.
Oh, he changed his story 3 or 4 times. So if you ever really pay attention
about exactly where it was,
he changed his story. But anyway, he said he and a couple friends killed a Bigfoot.
Yes.
So sorry.
And when he called into his story, he said he wrote out a very detailed map of where they buried these things.
And he sent it to Art.
I still want to know what happened to that map since Art has died.
Yeah, I know. And for those that don't know, Art Bell died in 2018, which was traumatic to me. Because, that guy was, I have just full laying it all out. I have about 100 gigs of his
You have
shows.
A lot.
That I've collected over the years. You have a lot
of Art Bell.
But I find that very interesting that there is that connection. There's a story where somebody actually shot the beast.
No, apparently it's recorded that this guy actually killed it. It's not just a story. Apparently he actually did get it.
Well, that's fucking impressive because you never hear stories like that. Okay, keep going.
But anyway, by late December of that year, rumors had started circulating that there might not just be one, there might be a pair of these beasts. The attacks were occurring in such high numbers that it seemed unlikely to be attributed to only one animal, and some of the attacks were reportedly having occurred at nearly simultaneous times.
Okay, so what general time of the day did they say these attacks were happening?
I haven't found anything that gave a general time of day.
One would just think it's evening, dusk.
Yeah, it's probably something like that. But eventually there were reports that listed sightings of multiple creatures, and even some reports that said they saw a beast with some of its young.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, not much more information than that, but just that there were reports of that time that came out and said they saw a beast with some of its young.
Okay, I hate to go full historian on you a second, but where were these reports coming from? Do we know?
Not really, just from the local populace of the area.
Okay, so most of them are some sort of oral tradition.
Some sort of oral traditions, yeah. Okay. That had eventually gotten passed up because the attacks had gotten so bad that eventually the Bishop of Mende Gabriel Florent de Choiseul-Beaupré, I apologize horrifically for that, wrote a lengthy text calling for prayers and penance, claiming that the beast was a scourge sent by God to punish men for their sins.
Damn, so the Catholic Church gets involved.
The Catholic Church even got involved. A bishop actually wrote out a text calling for penance, saying that this was punishment from God.
And if the Catholic Church gets involved with anything in France, that's a big fucking deal.
It was a big
because
fucking
there
deal.
is a love-hate relationship between the Catholic Church and the French.
Yeah, this beast was a big fucking deal. But despite the divine pleas for help, the attacks continued.
Much like the bubonic plague.
Yes.
Yeah.
So on January 12th, 1765, a man named Jacques Portefeuille and 7 children were attacked. They managed to drive the beast away by staying grouped together, but this finally caught the attention of King Louis XV, who actually awarded Portefeuille a substantial sum of money and an education at the state's expense, and decreed that the French state would help find and kill the beast.
Okay, that really caught some fucking attention if it got that far.
Yes.
Wow. And just, you said 1765, right?
Yes, this is in 1765.
Okay, just picture this on a global scale, that we are getting almost to the American Revolution at this point. We're about a good 10 years away from the American Revolution. The French, from a political standpoint, are very, very much tied up in the goings-on in North America at this point, because the French and Indian Wars that just happened in the 1750s.
Yep, they still have their holdings up in
largely Canada, and the Ohio River Valley and everything like that. So you've got all this shit going on a large global scale, and this got their attention. That's serious.
Yes, and this got their attention.
I just wanted to put that historical context there, because that says something. That got the holy shit.
Yeah. So as stories of the beast spread, even not just in France, but throughout Europe, first Captain Duhamel of the Clermont-Prince Dragoons, which are mounted infantry apparently, and his troops were sent to deal with the beast.
Interesting.
Yes.
So they sent the military out.
They sent the military out. But apparently Duhamel didn't get along with the locals very well. They reportedly didn't cooperate well with him, which impeded his efforts. And on several occasions, he's said to have almost shot the beast, but was hampered by the incompetence of his own guards.
Well, if you see how the French were doing in that time period, largely, that wouldn't surprise me, because, once again, remember, most of the French military at this point is now in North America. So if you were left behind in the country at this point, you probably weren't on the A-team. That makes sense.
Yeah. So, yeah, apparently his own incompetence, or the incompetence of his men, got in the way. So Duhamel was effectively replaced when Louis XV sent 2 professional wolf hunters, Jean-Charles Marc-Antoine Vumès Deneval and his son Jean-Francois. And they arrived with 8 bloodhounds in tow who had been trained in wolf hunting.
Okay, so shit got real. They took the B team out. They actually sent
shit
guys
got real.
that knew what they were doing.
They're sending people who at least supposedly know what they're doing.
Did they catch him?
Nope, it was not him.
Damn.
So the Denevals and Duhamel did not get along at all. Their hunting methods were too different. Duhamel insisted that organizing large wolf hunting parties was the best method, while the wolf hunting professionals, the Denevals, believed that the beast could only be shot using stealthier techniques. And so Duhamel eventually left and returned to his headquarters.
Okay, that's interesting. So the military was looking at more large-scale hunting, correct?
Yes, that apparently, yeah. He thought that organizing large wolf hunting parties was the way to go.
Well, let's just look at how European military worked in general during this time period.
Yes, this is still the line everybody up in a field in lines and shoot at each other method going on.
Yeah, and I find that interesting, because the more stealthy approach they're talking about is essentially what won the Americans the American Revolution with Nathaniel Greene and everybody in the South, the whole idea of quasi-guerrilla warfare.
Yes, and these guys were, if they were advocating for stealthier methods, they were probably like actual hunters and trappers who know that marching large hunting parties through forest and open fields is just going to scare away anything you're trying to catch.
I find that amusing too, because so much of this is so funny, because so much of it parallels what was going on in North America during this time period, because most of the hunters and trappers who were in North America that were French absolutely hated the French military that was there.
Really?
Yeah. This is from someone who's taught American history for years. I never knew that. Well, there you go.
Yeah,
There's
so
your commonality
there you go.
between the two.
But apparently, despite being professional wolf hunters, the Denevals weren't any more effective at Duhamel, and the attacks continued this whole time.
And do we have a body count by this point?
No, not really, but it was a lot.
Well, obviously, it was a hell of a lot to get King Louis's attention on the whole thing.
Yeah, I haven't found anything that's given a body count, but apparently it was significant. So in June 1765, the Denevals were replaced by a man named Francois Antoine, who was a bear hunter for Louis XV and his lieutenant of the hunt.
Okay, now we're even going higher. We're going to the S tier
We're
team.
going even higher. So on August 11th, a woman named Marie-Jeanne Vallée, a 20-year-old woman and a servant of the parish priest of Polhac, yeah, I probably got that wrong, but that's the best I can do, was walking with a small group of women on a footbridge across a small stream when they were attacked by the beast. And this tells you how bad it was, because apparently Marie-Jeanne happened to have a spear with her, so apparently people were just like walking around armed.
So the common folk were literally walking around armed because they're scared shitless.
Yes, because she apparently had a spear and managed to wound it in the chest when it jumped at her and attacked her.
Ooh, interesting.
Yes, the beast apparently dropped into the river and then disappeared into the woods.
You got the locals going around.
You've got the locals walking around
weapons.
Armed.
Damn.
Yeah. So the story, of course, reached Antoine, who came out, examined the scene and the spear that was used to wound the beast, and he believed that, with the blood on the spear and what was left at the scene, he believed, yes, it was the beast.
I'm guessing he was doing forensic testing at this point.
Sure.
Yeah. Since he's part of the King's Guard,
he absolutely
pretty much.
had forensic testing in 1765. Sure.
Well, he had a DNA tester there just in his cart, probably.
Yeah, but on either September 20th or 21st, we're not exactly sure of the date, but Antoine did kill an unusually large gray wolf. And so Antoine stated, "We never saw a big wolf that could be compared to this one. Hence, we believe that this could be the fearsome beast that caused so much damage."
Okay, we're going to get scientific with this. Are they going to tell us anything about size, weight?
I didn't put it down. I can pull it up real quick. Give me a second. Let me pull it up.
I'm just curious what they think for the time period, what they consider large. Because this is Europe. This is there are so many wolves and different variants of wolves throughout Europe. If it was like Jacob Black that I saw in Washington one time, that scared shit out of me because that was the biggest damn wolf I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, it was said to be 31 inches high. 5 feet 7 inches long and 130 pounds.
Holy shit.
So it was a big old bitch.
That's a big animal.
It was a big old bitch.
Holy shit.
Okay, where were we? Yeah, so it was a big one.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was a big-ass wolf. So Antoine thought they got it.
Apparently they didn't.
No, they didn't. So for a while it seemed like they did get it until, because he killed the wolf in September 20th or 21st, and until December of 1765, nothing happened. There weren't really any more reports of the beast. But then in December of 1765, 2 boys were attacked in a neighboring community. So it had moved away from Gevaudan a little bit.
Okay. Which direction was it moving?
I don't know. Apparently these communities were not around anymore, and I couldn't figure out where they were.
I was just trying to figure out kind of on a map where it was, because I'm having trouble placing almost any of these places.
Yeah. Apparently Gevaudan is not even a place anymore.
It's not even on the map anymore. Okay.
So yeah, I don't know where it was, but it was a neighboring community where it went. So it killed 2 boys in this neighboring community. So it was still alive.
Do we know if it's the same one, or do we know if it's like the pair?
I think it's the same one, or at least one of the same ones. And I'm wondering that if the beast was wounded when the girl speared it, if it didn't decide that it was not a good neighborhood for it anymore and moved on somewhere else.
I mean, very likely. I mean,
That's
predator behavior, absolutely.
That might account for those couple months where nobody was receiving reports of attacks.
They got one, but the other survived pretty much.
Yeah, or if there was a pair of them, maybe that one died from it and the other one went elsewhere.
No, that makes sense.
But yeah, so it showed up again in December of 1765. After the two boys, more attacks followed, and shepherds were now reporting that the beast seemed to show no fear of cattle. Because remember, in the first report, the bulls in the cattle herd were able to drive it away. Now the shepherds were saying that it didn't seem to be afraid of cattle.
Oh, that's different.
So like we were saying, it's learning and adapting.
That is okay. That's different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also about a dozen more deaths were reported during this time.
A dozen?
Yes.
Holy shit! In this other area.
In this other area.
So it moved on from Gevaudan.
It moved on from Gevaudan and went wherever else it went.
And killed 12 more people.
And it's killed 12 more people.
Is that including the boys, or were there...
I think that's in addition to the two boys.
Okay, so it's now got a body count of 14.
Just in this new area.
In a span of what? 3 or 4 months?
Let's see.
Because we're like at the end of 1765 right now.
Yeah, end of 1765. So, between the end of 1765 and about March of 1766.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Well, that bro was busy.
Yeah, bro was busy. So, of course, reports go back up that this thing's back. But by this point, Louis XV is just done with it. He has no further interest in it. And he really doesn't want to admit that his guy failed to get the beast when they thought they did.
Yeah, and he can blame the political climate going on in North America for
yes,
this.
and things in America are...
Shit is heating up.
Shit is heating up at this point. So he has no further interest in the beast. He's done with it.
Fend for yourself, commoners.
Pretty much, yeah. As like I said, as we get into March of 1766, after this thing has killed about a dozen people, the local populace has figured out that the court is not going to help them.
They're SOL on their own, and now they have to figure out their own solution.
So they tried to organize some small hunts unsuccessfully. And apparently some local noblemen even suggested poisoning the carcasses of dogs and leaving them in places where the beast was known to have been sighted. But that apparently didn't work either.
There is some intelligence to this.
Yes.
That is the underlying tone I'm getting out of this. That we've got a couple things. I mean, yeah, predator behavior, absolutely. But there is some intelligence.
Yes, it does seem to have some intelligence. Yes, because... even though attacks continued throughout that year of 1766, by the time like 1767 rolls around, reports claim that, as they called it, enterprising as the beast was at first, by this point it's becoming more cautious in its attacks, and it's ranging over a smaller area.
Still in that same area?
Still in that same area, but not ranging out as far as it used to.
That is intelligence.
So, yeah, this thing was displaying some intelligence.
Damn. So how many did it kill in the rest of 1766?
I don't...
Is it hard to tell?
It's hard to tell, but it was finally killed on June 19th in 1767 by a local man named Jean Chastel. He was finally able, in another one of those small hunting parties that had been organized, he actually managed to kill it.
A local bro took out
Local bro finally got it.
Wow.
Yes. And there is a story, like I said, we're going to get to a bullet story. There is a story about Chastel using large caliber bullets that he homemade from Virgin Mary medallions.
Okay.
But that was turned out to be purely an invention of French writer Henri Porat.
That sounds like something the French would make up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
But anyway, it is similar to like the silver. It's similar to like the silver bullet werewolf.
There you
thing.
go. Yeah.
It's just another version of that.
Well, there's an analogy to it. Yeah.
Saying it could only be killed with bullets made from Virgin Mary medallions.
That's no different than a silver bullet. Yeah.
But apparently, there was like an autopsy done on this thing, like the day after the beast was killed, that ended up actually being preserved in the French National Archives.
What the hell?
Yes. And it described the animal as, quote, this animal, which seemed to us to be a wolf, but extraordinary and very different by its figure and its proportions from the wolves that one sees in this country.
So what the hell does it look like?
Just that description that I gave you at first. But it did say that this autopsy report said that its upper jaw had 20 teeth in total, 6 incisors, 2 canines, and 12 molars. And the lower jaw had 22 teeth, 6 incisors, 2 canines, and 14 molars, which is indicative of a canid of some variety.
That is interesting.
Yeah, so guesses based on the descriptions of it were that it could be a young lion, a striped hyena, possibly a tiger, or a large wolf or wolf-dog hybrid.
What the hell would a hyena be doing all the way?
I like any of those though. A lion, a hyena, a tiger. What are any of those animals doing in France?
What, a fucking traveling circus or something?
Maybe.
But they couldn't tell if it's a fucking lion? Well, it is the 1760s.
I mean, they don't have access to. They didn't have Steve Irwin. They didn't have somebody going around giving them video programs about different animals.
That's just the damnedest thing, though. So it sounds canine in nature from what they're describing.
Yeah, at least its skull and the way they describe its teeth seems canine.
Well, I'll tell you the fucked up thought that went through my head is, how the hell did a hyena make its way?
Yeah, because back to the original description, a tawny or russet color with dark streaks and like a black stripe down its tail. The only thing that gets me about a hyena is that they said the tail is longer than a wolf's tail.
That's a long fucking tail.
Yeah, but ending in a tuft of fur, that's kind of like hyenas too. So, yeah, when I first read the description, I thought it did sound a little bit like a hyena.
I'm going to go with shapeshifter.
But yeah, I mean, apart from actual animals as theories, maybe we did actually have a shapeshifter.
That's some weird ass shit. Wow. And it literally terrorized that whole area for 2 years.
No, more than 2 years.
More than
started
two.
in 1764. They finally killed it in 1767.
Damn.
So 3 years.
That is impressive. Whatever the hell you are, bro, that's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
But it just comes back to my mind. I keep thinking hyena.
Yeah, that's what I thought when I read the description too, was that it was a hyena, because they were saying, their first thought is wolf, but not a wolf.
Yeah, that's one of the first things that come to mind. Well, obviously it's not a fox, because fox don't get that big.
And they have foxes there. They know what foxes are.
And
foxes don't get that big.
Yeah, they fox hunt across that entire area for hundreds of years prior to this. So they know that, but I guess more fucked up things could happen where you could have a hyena essentially make its way from the plains of Africa all the way.
Maybe some rich idiot visited Africa or something, and somebody had some hyena babies, and he thought, oh, one of these is cute, and tried to take it back with him.
Well, that's no different than what we do here in America.
We still do that shit.
Remember Tiger King? We do that shit here in America. Yep. No, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, that absolutely could be, because I was thinking the other option would be it would be a zoo, an escaped animal from a zoo, but that was not very common. Zoos were not common until the Victorian age and the Industrial Revolution. Zoos were very uncommon.
If it was a zoo and somebody had it, if these reports started circulating all over Europe, somebody, if they had a zoo, might have known what it was.
Yeah, or at least said, we're missing
X. Or at least
said,
oh yeah, we lost our whatever it is. That's probably it.
I'm kind of liking the theory more that it was a fucking hyena and some rich dumbass ended up not being able to care for it and left it out in the wild.
Yeah.
But if there were 2 of them, there was obviously a pair.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hyenas are aggressive. That it would make sense.
Yeah, they can be. And the fact that it seemed to have been intelligent. I can't remember where I heard this, but I remember reading something fairly recently that said scientists are figuring out that hyenas have figured out a new hunting method.
Oh, I remember reading
Yeah,
this.
you remember me telling you about this?
Yes.
Yeah, that basically they figured out that if they don't act predatory when they're approaching prey, like especially around a water hole or something, like they act like they're just casually strolling through to the water hole, like they don't act like lions do, like where they start looking like they're surrounding them and
like
sneaking
they're
up on them.
actually stalking them.
Yeah, that if they just casually stroll in and act like they're uninterested, the prey animals won't react to them. And so they could just walk right into a herd of wildebeest or zebra or whatever and then attack them.
I mean, something like that, it gives a lot of credence to the idea that you've got maybe a couple of these fucking animals that are well outside their natural habitat, and they're having to adapt. I mean, well, that proves the adaptability there.
Yeah.
I'm still going with shapeshifter.
Hey, that is a more fun theory.
It's more attuned to what we're trying to do on this podcast.
Yes, it is. And hey, there is weird shit out there that we don't know about, so it's always a possibility.
Just go look in the sea.
Oh, dear God, yeah.
You got to do some episodes about how fucked up the sea is. I need to do some
episodes about crazy, fucked up, scary shit that lives in our oceans.
I mean, we talk about fucking aliens. There's some fucking aliens in the water.
Yeah, we have aliens. They're at the bottom of our ocean.
But that's amazing. 3 years, it was able to stay in the wild for 3 years. That takes intelligence. That takes adaptability and intelligence.
Yes. And figuring out that it attacks only the neck and head on humans, learning to eventually not be afraid of cattle.
I'm going to go with shapeshifter number 1, and then number 2 for probably the most plausible would be hyena.
Yeah.